Welcome back to this week's episode of my Sunday Seller series. This is part 3 of my 7-part series, and in today's video we are tackling curb appeal, so stay tuned because I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks to make sure that the outside of your house really shines. Okay, so we have already talked about the importance of your listing photos in part 1, and in part 2, we've talked about how to make sure that the inside of your home really pops in those photos. And in today's episode, we are talking about curb appeal, making sure that your home, when a buyer pulls up that very first time, that it's really making a positive impression on them. So what can you do when it comes to curb appeal? And here's the thing, I know a lot of times people can think that it has to be these super costly things, and there can be certain things that will help in the curb appeal that would cost more, but there are also several cost-effective solutions to really make that curb appeal pop. So that's what we're going to be talking about. One of the biggest things to consider when it comes to curb appeal is if you have a lot of mature, low-hanging trees out front of your property that hides the front of your house. Yes, cutting down an entire tree can be very expensive. You may want to consider limbing up a tree, meaning cut down those lower hanging branches so that you can really get a beautiful view of the house. Because trust me, I have been in the car with buyers before. When we pull up, the curb appeal is not there and they don't even want to step foot inside the house. So I don't want that happening to you. And if you do have a lot of tree coverage, if it's an option, I would consider just taking down some of those lower limbs so that again, it starts to open up the house. The next thing, and this is going to be huge, either you can do it yourself or you can hire somebody to do it, but power wash your home. Power wash your driveway, power wash your front sidewalk, power wash your front porch, and power wash the side of your house if it needs it. Trust me, yes, that can be a laborsome task, but it can truly pay off. Plus it's super satisfying to see the before and after of power washing. But again, just getting rid of all the dirt and grime is going to make a huge impression. It may feel subtle, but it does make a big impact. So again, you may want to tackle that task on your own, or you may want to hire it out, but that can make a huge difference in the way that your house is perceived and the way the buyers view it. Because again, if you have any siding at all and you start to see all the growth on the siding, it can again lead to a buyer thinking, do they not maintain their home? Could there be other issues? And again, we do not want to throw up any sort of red flags for buyers when they are coming to see your home. So if you can, use a power washer. Now, if you don't have siding on your house, just remember your front porch, your front sidewalk, and your driveway. When it comes to your landscaping, make sure that your landscaping is all nice and tidy and trimmed up. If things are just kind of loose and falling everywhere, again, it just gives that appearance that maybe if the outside's not taken care of, maybe the inside isn't taken care of as well. And I get it, we all have busy lives and things happen. However, you know, when it comes to selling your home, you really do want to put your best foot forward from the get-go. So making sure that all of your landscaping is trimmed up, looking clean and neat is going to be a big win. Also talking about landscaping, when it comes to your mulch, remulching is a great way to instantly elevate your curb appeal. Now, if you've never heard this tip before, because a lot of times people are like, well, what color mulch do I do? It's best to go with a mulch that matches the color of your roof, but when in doubt, choose black mulch. It really does just make a difference in terms of your overall curb appeal, and fresh mulch can really make your curb appeal just pop. When it comes to your hardware, here's the thing. Real estate agents are going up to your front door. It's gonna take a couple of seconds to a minute or so to get that lockbox to open, get the key out, put it in the door. And so that does give a buyer a moment to really evaluate your door, the door hardware, your nearest light fixture. They're paying attention to all of these things because they're just kind of waiting for us to be able to get the key and to get in. So you're gonna wanna make sure that your door hardware is securely on there. Of course, it can kind of come loose over the years. Make sure that it's secure, make sure that it's clean. Now, if you have that really outdated, brassy kind of looking fixtures, you may want to consider swapping for a more modern door handle. That can make a big impression. And again, if you have that old brassy light fixture, this is a great opportunity. It's going to not cost you too much money, and it will make a big impact on just the way that your front door, it really is going to make a big difference just in the overall appearance of your front door, that light fixture. If you have outdated ones, again, try to update them as best you can. And if you can't for whatever reason, just make sure that the doorknob is not wobbly at all and that it looks nice and clean and shiny. Speaking of your front door, depending on the color of your front door, you may want to consider either updating the paint, or if you know that your front door color is a little out there or a little loud, you may want to consider repainting it for a more neutral color. And you know, I mentioned in my last video that I always offer a free staging consultation for all of my sellers. And so Kim is the one that I always defer to when it comes to the proper color of what a front door should be. She has several options so you can choose. You're not necessarily just locked into one color. But again, that front door, it is the entryway into your home. It does make a first impression. And so you really want to make sure that your front door looks nice. So it may need to either just refresh the paint or do a completely new color of paint. Then on top of that, one of the final things that you can do, remove all the window screens. Believe it or not, those screens, even though they're thin, they can make the front of your house appear darker, and that's not what we want. We really want it to shine from the get-go. So if you were able to remove all of the screens on the front of the windows, you can keep them in the attic or the garage for safekeeping, to stay with the house when you sell it. But again, that's gonna make a difference for your listing photos, and it will just make your house appear lighter and brighter when it comes to curb appeal. And then lastly, my stager Kim Pierce, I love this saying, so I am completely borrowing it from her, but have a shot of happy on your front porch. So most of the time that's going to come in the form of flowers, having a nice potted arrangement there on the front porch. The only thing that she advises is to stay away from deep purples and deep reds. Again, that plays into that psychology, and a lot of times like deep purples and reds can give people negative feelings. So think more of like the yellows or the pinks or white, but a shot of happy on the front door. Again, it's enough color to really create that true shot of happy in your photos. But again, it's this really nice welcoming touch. And then one final tip is if you have a personalized doormat that maybe has your last name on it, I would opt to swap that out for something more neutral. Again, that goes back into that depersonalization that we talked about in the first video. But if you do already have a very neutral doormat, that is totally okay. But if you do have a more personal one, I would swap it out for a less personal one. So again, those are gonna be some of my best curb appeal tips to really make the outside of your house pop. Because again, when they first drive up, that's their first impression, and we want them going, ooh, like it's super cute, or it's beautiful, or it's stunning. We really want to get inside, versus driving up and them saying, nope, this looks terrible. And they don't even, the inside could be stunning, but I'm telling you, I have experienced it before, that there are times that buyers do not even want to step foot in the front door if that curb appeal is in bad shape. So it truly does matter, not only for your photos, but in terms of actually, once buyers show up, getting them through the front door. So in the first 3 parts of the series, we talked about the importance of your listing photos, how to make sure the inside and outside of your home really shine. And all of that is part of pre-market prep, because making sure that those pieces are in play really plays into what we are going to be talking about in part 4, which is marketing. So I've already talked about the importance of your photos online, making sure that your home looks good inside and out. And then next week, we're going to be talking about how all of that plays into the larger marketing strategy in terms of the digital world, because we know so much is happening online, and that's where buyers are, and that's why it's so important. So we're going to be talking about marketing next week, so stay tuned for that. Again, my name is Caitlin Martin. I'll see you next week.